Hello folks, hello. We're gonna start with a person getting stabbed horribly in this session, and then we're gonna move on to torture, and then some other stuff, I guess. Let's see. Wagner tried to punch and kick, and then as he got close, she felt fear bubble up within her. Was this her death approaching? Had she lived through all that madness in Liverpool to just get killed here like this? Not by some great spider or superhuman warrior or some jade superhuman warrior, but by this usurper, traitor to the cult, who is now leading the cult. Is he the leader of the cult? I better check and make sure. Wagner thought of a lot of books she read where a woman was in this exact situation, held by several men, while another approached with some sort of weapon, like a sword or spear or burning hot poker right to the eye, right? World's a cruel and terrible place, you know. In those books, the hero of the story, feeling a bit of a headache coming on me because I had such a delicious breakfast, and it was like, oh, and my brain can't handle it. My brain can't handle it. They think it's something wrong if I miss happy from something, so I have to give me a headache, I guess. In the books, the hero of the story would jump in at the nick of time and save the victim. In those books, the hero would save the victim before any harm would befall her. There would be no rescue like that or wonder. Soon as Godwin was within stabbing distance, he did just that, plunging his sword, ceremonial knife to the hilt, right into Wagner's stomach. Burning red pain shot through Wagner, and though she felt like the wind had been knocked out of her, she still managed an impressive scream that echoed through the entire sermon room. Oh, thank you, indigestion. Thank you very much. I should fire my stomach. If it keeps causing me trouble, I'll just start taking those Soylent supplements. Yeah. Just eat that instead of a meal. Fuck you, stomach, right? You can't handle a meal, then don't worry about it. Just fucking veg out. Let's see. You'll die from boredom. Freaking can't do a simple job. I'll go through the entire sermon room. Godwin's much quieter, but still wicked laughter was also echoed, as did Wagner's second scream when she received another stab, this one in a different place, higher up on the torso, a bit below her ribs. A third stab, no less painful than the first two, caught Wonder between two ribs in a diagonal. In a diagonal manner. Freaking stupid word dividing things. Wish I could just get rid of those. Rib, stab, diagonal. Diagonal. Okay. Two ribs in a diagonal manner. Like how a commando would thrust a blade between the ribs of some guard. Ribs of some guard to take him out quickly. Wounds. The ribs could deflect a knife. So it was best to go around him. Yes, the path of least resistance. Wonder doubted that Godin was any kind of commando. If he was analogous. Am I using this word correctly? Similar to anyone who killed in the night. He was more like a thief. Some bandit thief than any commando. Who, while they used some underhanded tactics, or a more honorable lot. Wonder worked with them in the past. Wonder didn't manage a third scream when she was stabbed a third time. She felt weak on her feet, and things seemed to be getting dark. Was she passing out? Or dying? Is this competent writing, folks? Not to toot my own horn, but this feels a bit more competent than what I've been doing lately. Maybe because it's a bit more difficult than writing dialogue. You know, it's just been dialogue mostly the last 2 days. I kind of feel impotent if I'm not doing some action of some kind. You know, even if it's just people walking around a room, looking at painting here and there, just that kind of stuff, you know? I mean, every novel has its share of talking scenes. And I wouldn't want to write a story with no dialogue in it. That would be a neat challenge, but I think I do need dialogue. And besides, when you're writing a novel, you almost don't have to do dialogue, because you can just have it, the main character, just explain everything. Like, you could just say, we discussed things, and he told me, you know, yada yada. And you wouldn't even have to use the quote marks at any point. It's starting to like the taste of this Monster Energy drink. God help me. It mostly tastes bitter and terrible. It makes me wonder why the hell they even have it. Why can't they make a tastier energy drink? And I'm not talking about those fancy flavored coffees. Those, I've never gotten an jolt of energy from any of those. And more of a jolt of energy from that weird green Slurpee thing that I got at that resort one time last year. Now that was good. No, I mean, it was terrible. It tasted terrible, but it did give me a little energy. Maybe it just woke me up because it tasted so damn bad. All that kelp and kale and carrots. Tasted mostly like carrots, though I don't think they mentioned carrots in there. Yeah. But you know, if that stuff drinking that stuff would make me a better writer, I would drink it around the clock. I'd bathe in it. Let's see. Was she passing out or dying? Wonder if felt something coming up her throat. She hoped it wasn't blood. She felt she was allowed to fall to her knees after a moment of gagging. Painful gagging. Vomited up a mix of blood and vomit. You felt like her stomach had exploded, popped like a balloon. Perhaps it had all the acid and poisonous contents of her stomach, where it was leaking all over the place. All the acid and poisonous contents of the stomach were leaking all over the place. Should be war, yeah. Wonder why did they let me fall? Wondered. Asked herself. Do they think I'm dying too? Wonder if you didn't know what's happening here. She looked to see Adam standing triumphantly above her, with the knife coated in own blood all the way to the hilt. There was some blood on the man's fingers as well. Strangely, the blood seemed to go from red to black. Old photograph. Well, this is 1940. It wouldn't be like an old black and white photograph because that's the way it was. If you wanted to color on a picture, you had to colorize it yourself, like you were doing one of those like arts and crafts things. You know. Or a portrait, you know. I think I'd rather have a... I think if I had to choose between one portrait of myself and a million photographs of myself, you know, I think I would go with a portrait, because I think those portraits are like... I don't know, there's almost something supernatural about them, how they capture the essence of the people depicted, you know? That's the kind of thing. There's a pizza place near me that has a nice portrait of the guy who built it, right by the checkout order, and it's very nice. I like it. It's something from like a bygone era. Of course, it's not that old. It's probably just a picture from the 40s, or it was probably from the 40s or something. These days, I don't know how you would get a good portrait done. Who would you go to, you know? Can you find a classic artist anymore? I mean, there's everyone just that new modern art bullshit. I do like some modern art and postmodern stuff, you know. I'm not a thespian. I do like, you know, like I like Picasso. Picasso's one of my favorite artists ever. That painting Guernica drives me crazy when I see it. So good. It's probably the only good thing that came out of the Spanish Civil War. Let's see, large group of civilians. I already saved those people. My outline, it's almost like a checklist from a video game. Kill the giant spider, fight the jade, blow up the depot. List a list of objectives. If the Call of Duty people need someone to just come up with a list of stuff for the heroes to do in the story, I think I could be their man. Let's see, strange little blood seemed to go from... The color seemed to drain from the room around. Seemed to drain from the room. Like things had become... I wonder had suddenly found herself in the middle of a black and white photo. Let's see. There was something foul and hot coming up her throat. Foul and hot. That should be the title of this book. Foul and Hot. No, I'll save that title for my autobiography. Let's see. Wonder collapsed forward. Or managing to land on her side, not flat on her face. Wonder Wonder didn't want to die, just staring at the floor. The floor in front of her, below her. Like somebody mowed down in a shootout. Wonder didn't want to die a common death. She wanted something special. She felt she was owed that somehow. There wasn't anything special about a maniac stabbing you to death. It had been happening to people since they invented the knife. Did I come up with an alternate word for knife? I think I might have. I called swords long cuts. I guess a knife would be a shortcut? Yeah. It's kind of funny. A shortcut to the afterlife. I gotta get back to reading that Lord of the Rings. I'm at that part where it shows the heroes. After the heroes find that tree guy, and that was kind of like my least favorite part of the movie series, the tree people. Seems like such. If I would have never come up with tree people in a million years. I would like the idea of tree humanoids, like the size of us, but like they're mossy and stuff. Yeah. And I have that in one of these stories, but that's a bit different. The tree people in the Lord of the Rings, they're freaking huge, the size of real trees, so, and they're apparently pretty strong. Let's see. It's been impressive. It's been an impressive story so far. People since they invented the knife. Wonder saw that Gollum had turned back towards Brant, who was being held by 5 people, and it looked like they could barely restrain her. She was filled with anger, and she kept staring at Wonder with horror. And she kept rotating between staring at Wonder with horror and looking upon Galdin with vengeful rage. She yelled some things, but Wonder could barely hear her for some reason. It was like she was talking far down a street instead of barely 2 meter from Wonder. You bastards, I'll kill you all. Brant yelled. Weak. Into a weak. In Bloodcomb. You'll wish you and you'll pray for death. Done with you. Godin didn't bother to clean his blade before slashing Brandy. Why'd I call her Brandy? Brandy, you're a fine girl, but my luck, my love, my lady is the sea. Maybe Brandy could be her alias when she goes to live in America for a while. If I have her do that in this story, probably, maybe not. It's really a storyline for the version of Brant where she didn't become imbued with the powers of a god during World War II. She was a normal character. Relatively normal in the other stories. She's still an exceptional person, but she didn't have superpowers. She was one of my cadre of normal heroes, meaning heroes that just were good with shooting guns and surviving. Kind of like the John McClane kind of hero, I guess. Whereas some of the other characters were more superhuman. You know, even when you have superhuman characters, you still have to give them vulnerabilities, humanity, that kind of stuff. Or else it turns out wrong. Which they're slashing Grant across the right side of her face. It was a deep and instantly bloody cut. With the skin seemingly ripping like paper. Grant must have been used to this sort of pain on that level, where she barely let out a gasp in reply, and she looked more angry than pain. Gauldin followed up that slash by stabbing Grant ruthlessly in the abdomen, just like he had done with Wonder. Grant let out a grunt of pain reply, and did the same with stab 2 and 3. We're going to cut that power right out of you, Gauldin said, yelled, but which Wonder could barely hear. There should be a capital there. I mean, an exclamation point for when a person's yelling. I think so. I mean, I don't know if this is one of those rules set in stone. I'm glad I had that orange juice. I feel at least happy mentally today. Even if it didn't give me much energy. I think orange juice gives you a little happy back. I'm not sure. It's not a surprise that eating healthy and proper makes you feel better. Yesterday I had sushi for dinner, and that was probably the healthiest thing that I've eaten in months. Literally months. And I would eat it all the time if I could afford it, you know. Fuck hamburgers, fuck fried chicken, tacos, chili. I'd eat sushi all day, every day, until the mercury drove me mad. But even then I'd still eat it, because, you know, maybe that mercury poisoning would give me good ideas for this story here. You know? We're going to take your power and return it to Mars. Mars is dead. Wonder croaked. And blood, and hot blood came from her mouth. Blood came out of her mouth. Drool from some big dog. From some big hungry dog. Hungry big dog. I wonder what that sentence would look like in Japanese. I don't know. Other languages are kind of funny about the whole where you put the verb in the sentence, like French, for example. Kind of wish I had the language program I use to make my fictional language for French. I kind of wish you did that thing that the French language does, where you put where the verb goes at the end of the sentence. I'm not sure if that's the right rule. All I remember from French class is that French sentence structure is different from English. That blood came from her mouth, like from some hungry dog. He's probably ashes somewhere. Just dust. You could spread through the room. It's just that you could spread. You could just dust. Just dust. I'm going to try to find an analogy. She recalled some friend of hers who died young, and he ordered his last wishes were for his body to be cremated. She was at both the cremation and the whatever you called the ceremony. ceremony after, where they spread the ashes. They just emptied it into the air. The urn into the air. It was... The dust disappeared quickly. To the wind quickly. Dissipated. That was Mars, in Wonder's mind, even though it wasn't really true. Mars's body was probably like on ice in some research facility somewhere. And if he wasn't on ice, he was being pickled. He was pickled. Cryo-frozen, part 2. I'm not sure. I think I had some people were being cryogenically frozen in the 40s. Some, alt history a little bit, I guess. I think the first people were cryo-frozen successfully in the 50s. If they'll ever be successfully revived, that's another story. I guess we should see how they look, like a person from the 50s. If they're not well together, if they don't look like, like they did when they were alive, then, well, they're probably... It's not a good fit, I mean... If you can't even preserve a person for dead for 70 years, how are you going to keep them preserved for thousands of years? Which is how long it'll be before we have technology that can raise the dead. Although maybe, I'm exaggerating a little. I mean, raise the dead from a person who's a popsicle. Maybe in a few hundred years they'll be able to take someone who's like dead on the floor, but still warm, and revive them. I don't know. Or maybe that's just 10 years away, and then all the hospital shows and everything, they'll have to set them in the past when you couldn't bring dead people back to life, so you could keep the drama going, What's a drama in the world where anyone can just be brought back from the dead, He was on ice. He was pickled somewhere in a giant jar. In a giant jar. Either way, he was probably in no condition to be revived. But it might be possible. But it was more possible sounding to revive someone pickled or frozen than someone. But it sounded more possible to revive someone pickled or frozen over someone reduced to ashes. Pickled. Yeah. Walt Disney, I heard he was cremated. It's a shame. Wish he was cryogenically frozen. Then maybe they could bring him back and he could take over the company. There'd be an interesting legal precedent, right, folks? Okay, folks, signing off here. Have a nice day.